Hey Pisces, this is your eclipse season, Aries season, April 2024 reading. All information to work with me one-on-one is below, as well as the extended version to this reading, which will be in the first link below. Give it about 24 to 72 hours. I have forgotten to post, so if you're looking for previous videos, they're now up. Highly recommend taking a look at the second parts this month before they come out. I dropped a card. The first card out, the Devil. The first card out is the Devil. Interesting. Now we know, and in case you didn't know, eclipse season is the most obvious astrological event that happens that reveals how much we are not in control of, especially with our jobs, with our, and wherever our controlling habits are, right? People can't control. Anyone you can't control. Then you think about what's had control over you. Now, if you have some more serious chronic conditions, that's probably had a lot of constraint on you over time. So anything that's being released at this time could, and I emphasize probably will, have some pain to it. These changes have and can be due to the most masculine or fatherly figure in your life. Sorry, I paused for a moment because I heard something and I wanted, it was my cat, okay. Just wanted to make sure I was hearing right. My two cats. Okay. Yeah. What's control to you? Because like no other cards are coming out right now, so we're just gonna like talk about it. What's control to you, right? What do you not have control over in your life, right? Maybe the flow of money. And I would say that anything you're hyper fixating or focusing on right now is where you need to learn to let go and trust and have faith. Especially if you're doing everything you can possible to help that situation, the best thing then helpful you can do is perhaps let go. And even if you don't want to, these eclipses, this time in life is going to bring it up to most likely enforce that. At this time, what could be setting this off is that maybe you have too much on your plate. That could be definitely possible. That you have too much on your plate right now. That you're in too many different avenues, and that's maybe what's causing this certain state of emotion. This longer period of like, well, what is this? What's going on? And it's up to you to acknowledge and notice it. Maybe there's an avenue in which you've already learned what you could, and now you may be in the environment that you're in physically. You may need to take what you've learned and move on. You may need to drop, if you like, are, whether you're self-employed or employed, maybe dropping a day could be helpful. And I will emphasize that with the feminine signs to try that out, even if it's just for like a month, just to see where that constraint is in your life. Like, is it on your money? Maybe you end up making more. If you feel more relaxed, maybe you end up making more than you would have thought, right? Maybe you end up not really losing out because you're able to give more on the days that you're able. Because either way, what's coming out is that there's change happening. Now, with whatever you're being revealed to about what it is that you are actively wanting to control at this time, the cards are saying, well, shit's happening. Like, if you need a mental break, right? If you need a break, like, let yourself see that this is what you're being exposed to, and this may be what's holding you back from experiencing joy. And if you give yourself that joy, because if you're feeling heavier emotions, Pisces, because that's what I'm feeling here, is you need to give yourself space to experience some joy, some laughter, some fun for more than just a moment. Like, find the things in your life that bring that out of you, because that's actually what's going to help you during this time. Because if you take your eye off of something for a moment, it doesn't mean it's going to change that much. I'm just going to turn this down. That's not what it means. It just means perhaps you're trusting the process. And that's what artists have to do. So maybe if you don't see yourself as an artist, but still looking into like how artists do what they do, right? You have to eventually let go, right? I only have so much control over these readings. I'm reading for you. The control is how much I've learned in my life, perhaps. Or the control is the cards, sorry. But then I have to put it out there. I have to let it go as an art form and know that some people are going to like it, some people are not. But hopefully the point, like, and the reason why we're here together, hopefully, is that it's because we're learning together, we're growing together. We're moving together. And that's what this is. This is a growth period, a huge growth period for all of us. And it's in this small amount of time. And the reason why it may not, for some of us, it's going to feel bigger than others, especially like depending on the degree and where Aries is in your chart, right? So for Pisces rising, it's in your second house, which is your house of money, work, value, talent, skills. That's taking a shift. You may be wanting to take your talents elsewhere. And this has been going on probably since Capricorn season, so probably a couple months for some of you. And what is being revealed to you is that at this time, the important focus here is your emotional well-being, your stability, believing in something greater than yourself, but something that can be visible. This is maybe what you're learning until Taurus season. For also, like, for some of you out there, this is a relief. Even though this change may feel painful, has been a part of your life for maybe the past 7 years even, it's almost a relief to let go. Because it opens up this part of you, what you can't see now, of course. This part of you that or emphasizes like, wow, I have all this energy. You may even say that to yourself at some point, like not next week, which will be the week of the eclipse, but towards that rounding corner of the week after. Like, wow, I have more energy for my passion, for what I'm creating, for my work. Like, my ability to extend my energy looks different now. And it could be that because you're being exposed to what you really need now, because you've been wondering, like, why isn't it coming? Well, you're going to learn how you learn. So you can learn And we're all going to learn positively and negatively, right? But some people learn from more negative experiences or this whatever cycle you've been going through, especially monetarily the past 6 months or so, and it will wrap up at the end of the year. Where are you investing your time? Where are you focusing? Maybe you start a couple things, not to make you do more, but maybe you think of a couple ideas and then, let them go and notice which ones you're being drawn more towards by the end of the month. Notice which ones get brought up, right? Which ones you may be thinking about. Write down wait a few days, you're like, oh my God, I'm thinking about this. Like, this is what I want to do. You find this natural attunement to what's next for you. That may be why you need the break. Or maybe you give yourself a day. It could just be a whole day. Because there's something more to understand about what's under this control or this desire too. And then not choosing and allowing things to shift. The eclipse is in totality, which doesn't happen very often in our lifetimes. And what's happening is that the light is shifting. And that's causing every sign's focus and light to shift in a certain area of their life. The reason why I brought up emotions after I brought up, and notice there are no pentacles out here. So we're talking about worth, and you can think money, but it comes down to how you feel about yourself, always, right? So money and emotions are known to be very connected in the metaphysical and energetical spaces and more spiritual spaces. If that's something that's new to you, that's the connection now. You can notice that when you're more up and down, your money might be more up and down. If you start to stabilize, knowing that your money is going to be up and down, or become aware of that, how that correlates with you, that if you can't learn to go with the ebb and flow and you're constantly surprised by it, then you may never find like some peace of mind. So if you notice that things have been going in this direction, or you're noticing that you're putting too much energy, which is also money, putting too much energy, investing too much time in a certain area, you're noticing now how to balance that out. And balancing that out looks like a complete change and shift in your mentality and how you go about that, how you act upon what you want. That's your control. What's not in your control is about one of these things being cut out of your life. It could have just come into fruition too, which is funny because when I learn about manifestation and learn about in my life, and you can notice in your life, think about a time where you really wanted something, then you finally got it, and then you realize you didn't want it anymore. This may be one of those times, Pisces. And then you have all this energy to put into yourself in a way where you can hold space for yourself in ways that maybe, just maybe, no one in your life has yet. And it starts with you, and there are people who have, but it starts with you. And that is where you find that deep connection to faith. You may find it within your body. Because this is the one thing we have, and we have only so much control over. And Pisces season will always remind you of that. Interesting, I was going to say something else about Pisces season, but Taurus season is what will remind you of that. So if we get to Taurus season and you're completely burnt out at that point, most likely that means that you need way more rest than you realize. You may have talked yourself out of it, perhaps, but I'm talking you back into it. So this month, like as this transpires, I would give yourself time and rest. And if time and rest turns into creating or developing ideas, beautiful, especially with someone you trust. There's someone in your life that you deeply trust, and that is either just about to come into your life. They could also be a Leo towards the end of the month. Or it could be that some things that you're being reminded of from last summer into the fall are now reapproaching you. And you may have that connection. If not, I'm connecting it for you. If that doesn't make sense for you, let it mull over. Maybe it never will make sense. Doesn't matter. You notice your emotional state then. You also start to begin to really notice that when you're around certain people and how you feel. Maybe you already know that and you've created a sense of protection, energetical protection for yourself. If not, I highly advise you to do that. It's basically just envisioning yourself in whatever that is and keep it to yourself so nobody can get to it. But it's like your aura. It's protecting your aura, you know? And you'll become, those kinds of conversations or things will probably come up a lot more too. And what you also see in yourself when you meet people who are seeing you for who you really are, who are matching your emotional or energetical vibration, your ideas, your frequency, whatever you want to call it, that shows you how obviously you can trust what you cannot control, which is what's all around us. Life happening, the universe, God's input, right? Because this shift is exposing to you what you've been hiding from or what you didn't know, right? What I've been saying and how I envision at least especially the month before eclipse season starts every 6 months. We are in, especially this one's a big one. It's a crash course. It's a crash course, but it's also creating the space. It's having you learn the things you'll need for what's coming next. I mean, that's how I approach every reading, like you're preparing for each month, right? That's one way I approach these. So approaching and in the midst of eclipse season, this is a time where in these areas and aspects of your life, you can have major changes. And even though these major changes can feel drastic and huge, a lot of times it's because it's taking up too much space in your life for what is coming next. And there may be time, 2 weeks to a month in between this change, and that's a space to get your mind right. In that time, you will maybe go through ebbs and flows, especially if there is time between jobs, if this is a job. I do think for a lot of you, this is really just about like growing up and out of what you learned, what you learned you can bring with you from home or wherever, however you see home, whether it's the people or the place you learned from or both, right? This is a time to integrate. Pisces, you've been moving, going, changing, shifting, and you do need space. That's what this time is calling for. So much transpired that this one thing, this one event, realization, and release could have also affected your body, where you do need rest, where you're noticing now like, oh, I deserve this now. I need to, and why can't I sit still? Sit still, because we can't really be still. Why can't I sit with myself? There you go. What is this? And now you're creating space and time to do that. You may also find that this could be like a loss of a friend. You may be moving on or shifting dynamics with this person. That could be it too. But for a lot of you, it's like this deep connection with your intuition. Like this is what has kept you from knowing something. And by the end of the month, you find out what you didn't know. Because you may feel confused as to what's transpiring at first because you thought you wanted or you thought this thing was there, or you're almost forcing yourself to believe like, this is what I want. No, this is what I want. Is it what I want? Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're exposed to the fact that it's not. And that's okay. But then shit starts to happen because you realize at the end of the month, whatever idea you decide to go with, there's so much more to unpack with that, and it gives you so much room. It creates so much space in your life. Even though there's this idea that's coming through, it gives you so much space to create. It gives you so much space to relax into, okay, this doesn't have to develop right now, because right now is a time where the seeds are being planted, right? Even like if you live in the Northeast or a place with seasons, I live in the Northeast, so this is a time where we are beginning to turn the soil and plant seeds, right? So that's what you're doing. You're envisioning yourself turning the seeds and turning the soil, and that's hard work. That's a hard part of farming. Turning the soil takes strength, you know, and then after it's done, you're like, you can't wait, and you put love into it, right? So your intuition, you're being exposed to something through this idea about yourself, about what, and also how you've connected to yourself in a different way through this restful time. Because that time will come towards the end of the month and into Taurus season, and then you begin to perhaps feel even more confident about the direction that you're going. That you realize that maybe even what you're leaving behind is something there that you have left behind. Now that you have space in between it, you can see, and you've given space for you to realize, maybe even in a moment where you weren't trying to realize or thinking about it, this is why I needed to leave. This is the dynamic I was getting away from. And now my confidence in myself is even growing even more in a way that, like, as much as I have fully connected with my life now, I'm okay with moving on even from this. And that's that mutable energy. That when you take it into a fixed season of next month, like, that's what's going to help things move faster. And I know that sounds like counterintuitive, but it's not. It's actually not. Yeah. We will get right into the second part. Pisces, that will be in a link below. Stay healthy, stay well, take care of your body, which will take care of your intuition and what's to come. And not for only that outcome, but because it's important. And you're important. Yeah. See you soon.